Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we're going to start chapter number 3, or you can say module number 3. It's about the program security. If you see the contents of this module, you can see over here, we're going to discuss about the program hacking techniques, programming errors like buffer overflow, incomplete access control, and then we're going to have some small overview on the malicious code like viruses, bombs, and Trojan horses. Apart from that one, we can also see some vulnerabilities, program development control against malicious code and vulnerabilities, some good practices and principle of software engineering. And then we're going to go about the controls to protect against flaws in execution like development controls, at how we can control the vulnerabilities and flaws while in the development stage. And then we can see the operation controls and administration controls. Here there is a few slides which is talking about the hacking techniques and what is the hacking techniques. It says that hacking becomes more powerful, educated, and mission driven. The attackers are more powerful. Why? Because they are working harder than the information security professionals. They are increasing, discovering, and implementing new attacks vector to exploit and tools to attack their target organizations, thereby making it difficult for security professionals to defend their organization. So there are many type of ways that the hacker use. It's not a one fixed rule for hacking. There are numerous rules. Okay, number one, the most important is the scanning network. By scanning network, we find out that what are the computers attached, what are the IP addresses, what are the open ports, and by this way you have an entry point. So this kind is also called enumeration. Okay. Moreover, in the enumeration phase, attackers create an active connection to the system, that how actually it can get into it, okay, and how it can get into the directories of the password and then crack it by the some software like John the Ripper, and then and they get the unauthorized access for that one. Next one is like malware threats. Like what are the malware threats? To malware threats, if you inject the malware threats in a system, you can have some ways or some loopholes in that one, like viruses, ransomware, trojans. So malware is a malicious software that damages or disables computer system and gives limited or full control of the system to its creator for the purpose of theft and fraud. So by this way, if you are successful by some way that how to inject the virus or ransom or Trojan into some other's computer, then you will have a gateway to enter into that computer and can get information as per your requirements. Next one is the sniffing. Sniffing is a process of monitoring, capturing all kind of data which is passing through the network. Okay, so there are a lot of sniffers available in the market. You can download and test, and you can buy by the IP addresses or by the MAC addresses. You can test it, and using the sniffing tool as well. Social engineering is a different kind of thing, and here it's not more technical. By this way, you convince some people by asking some questions. It can be your friends, it can be a help desk, or it can be a like technical support or execution or system administration. You can ask, send email posing that you are a system administrator, or you can call anybody that I am on the help desk. By this way, you ask many information like his date of birth, his where he is living, his address, his phone number. By this way, you can guess his most of the information. Next one is the denial of service. Denial of service is that you block the computer by giving many requests. Like for example, if you put many requests in a computer, the computer goes down again, and it's not accessible to all the people. Sometimes if you see if there are some promotions on Flynas or Saudi Airlines, many people just rush into the Flynas and then they go to buy the tickets. By this way, the service gets down. But that is a it's not malicious. That is a natural one. Okay. But if the same thing is happen in a malicious way or by the illegitimate way, then we call as a denial of service, or it's called a distributed denial of service. So by this way, the attacker computer networks reduces or restrict the prevent the accessibility of system resources to its legitimate users. So the attackers will flood a victim system with non-legitimate services requests or traffic to overload its resource, which will lead to unavailability of particular website, or it can even slow down your performances. Next one is session hijacking. It refers to an attack where an attacker takes over valid TCP communication session between two computers. If two computers are communicating and you hijack the conversation, okay. For example, if computer A talks to computer B, okay, and then you are computer C, you are the hacker, okay. So you respond to the computer A and also respond to the computer B, while both of them they don't know what's happening. Next one is a hacking web server. That how the hacking web server can be performed. Web server is a program, both hardware and software, that hosts website, and attacker can use many techniques to compromise a web server, such as they can use the DOS or distributed denial of server, or DNS server hijacking. What do you mean by DNS? It's called domain name server, domain name system, web cache poisoning, and web server password cracking, etc. So these are the different ways that how the web server can be hacked. Eighth one is a hacking web application. Like a web application, there are a lot of web application, or even nowadays we have a mobile application, or we call on cell phone applications. A web application provides an interface between the end user and the web server through a set of web pages that are generated at the server and contains script code to be executed dynamically within the client web browser. So we have like a web application are vulnerable to various attacks such as SQL injection. If any application they have SQL injection vulnerability, it is easier for attacker to compromise that application. How? Why? Because it can send his JavaScript code or VB script code into a forms, okay, in just like for example in contact us. If there is a contact us form, they can write the code instead of write a legitimate query. They can write a code of the JavaScript and can inject his SQL code and can retrieve important information from the your database. And then there's another one is called cross-site scripting. It's another vulnerability. By this way, the scripts are exchanged, and even the JavaScripts or the VB scripts are exchanged by the help of an attacker. Here you can see the SQL injection. So as I told you what's SQL injection. By this way you pass your JavaScript code to the web server using the web interface. Next one is a hacking wireless network. As it is very in a few years ago, it was very common practice among the young chaps. So wireless access control attacks aims to penetrate a network by evading wireless LAN access control measures such as MAC filters and Wi-Fi port access control. Okay. And then we have a hacking mobile platforms. We have, because since mobile applications are new and there are a lot of vulnerabilities exist in a mobile, so it is easier to hack a mobile rather than to a desktop computers. So in mobile platforms, attacks can involve the device layer, the network, and center layer, and the combination of these two. Evading IDS firewalls and honeypots. To understand how an attacker evades the security of firewalls, IDS and honeypot, the hacker should have an idea about their function, that what is going on, placement, design, implemented to protect the target organization network. Okay. So means like IDS means intrusion detection system, firewalls, and honeypot. Firewall is just like this set of rules which is implemented on the boundary walls so that the legitimate people can enter into your wall. And honeypot is just like a dummy computer just to deceive the attackers, to see their behavior. Number next one is 13, cloud computing hacking. Like cloud technology offers different types of services to end user. As you see that cloud offer you memory everywhere, means like you don't need to worry about the memory, and attackers may take advantage to the compromise data security, gain illegal access of the network, and so on. So since cloud technology is a new technology, and every new technology has more vulnerabilities and more chances for hacking. This is the common list of the by ethical hacking course. Okay. Certified thing. So you can see the 18 most popular vulnerabilities or the threats for the information security. You can see from ethical hacking, sniffing, skill injection, footprinting, social engineering, until you can see the cloud computing, hacking application, cryptography, and malwares. So these are the different 18 different most popular vulnerabilities, and I hope you have worked on your assignment one of these vulnerabilities. Why program security? Why we need a program security? Program security is a central piece of computer security. Why? Because without program security, there is no security. Programs constitute so much of computing system. It needs operating system in touch with that programs. They need device drivers to drive some of the functionality related to the hardware networks, and some are the database management related. Some are direct applications and executable commands on the web pages as well, JavaScript commands or VB commands. How to judge security? You need to see the quality of the code. That how qualitative is your code. If they take care of information security rules, regulation, and guidelines, so it means we can say that it's a qualitative. Quantity and types of errors, faults, and failures. Okay, there can be errors, there can be faults, and there can be failures. Faults are minimum, and failures are major. Okay, what are the errors, faults, and failures? Errors are just small mistake usually caused by humans, such as mistake in performing an activity. Example, a designer may misunderstand a requirement. Errors may lead to faults. Yeah, the errors are in the form of misunderstanding of your requirements. Faults are smaller, incorrect steps that represent a problem behind the scenes, a potential problem. When a designer misunderstand lead to an error in the coding, yeah. So when your misunderstanding of the requirements lead to the coding, and then it becomes an error. And what's the failure? Failure is a total destruction. A failure is a departure from the system requirements behavior, a deviation from intended behavior, not the necessary specification. So it means that it's a total failure. Your program is not according to the requirements, and there is not only one error. There are a lot of errors. You log in a Blackboard and find yourself logging into other student account. So it means like for example, if you log into the Blackboard and it shows you the SIS. So these are the two different things. So that is called a failure. So faults and failures are forms of the program flaws. Okay, security flaws is a problem that affects security in confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Yeah, because these three are important things. CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, is the main important thing for the information security. A fault is an inside view of a system as seen by the eyes of the developers, like programmers, designers, specifier. A failure is an outside view, a problem that the user sees. So fault is inside by the programmer, and failure is a total destruction by the programmers, but seen from the outside, the user. When the users use it, they don't find the required programs. Not every fault corresponds to the failure. Yeah. Example, if faulty code is never executed or a particular state is never entered, then the fault will never cause the code to fail. Okay. So what does it mean? Yeah. So it means every fault is not necessary to go to the failure. Like if a faulty code is never executed, okay. If there is a faulty code and it is not, the function is not called, or particular state is not entered. Okay, for example, if you don't want to find the average grades of a student, so that code will now never not execute, so you will not find the fault, and the fault will never cause the code to fail. Observe that there is some inconveniences with this terminology in the security community and IEEE standards. So these are according to the IEEE standards. How to fix and find the faults? So we will have this thing in the next lecture. Thank you very much for time being.